Hi, everybody. So I'm going to go over what we're doing for week 2, everything that's in the week 2 module, and then your assignments that you're doing as well. So the first thing in the week 2 module is reading over research, like sort of what research is, what a research paper is, and how to go about it, what's all included in it. When you go into the website, it's got all these different, I don't know how many, sort of like chapters that go into it. Make sure you're reading through each one. For some of these, if you're like, I am really very familiar with citation and documentation, Looney, I don't need tons of detail on that. Skim through it, and maybe you don't take super intense notes while you're skimming. But if you really struggle with avoiding plagiarism or rhetorical styles, then really pause on those sections, read them thoroughly, and take notes thoroughly. So, sort of decide as you're going through here what sections of this resource do you really need as a writer, and which ones are you like, this is just review, I've heard it before, I don't need to hear it again. So you decide as you read through that one. A lot of the other sources for the rest of the week are videos. So this one right here is just going to go over what is a library database. Through Marion Technical College, you have the library database. To get to it, you are going to go to the college website as I get there. Okay. And then on campus option, I'm pretty sure, yep. So you hover over campus, click library. There we go. And then this is the library website. So this is how you're going to get to the databases that they're talking about in the videos in this week's resources. Research databases is right here. They also have all their information on how you can go ahead and sign into the library databases here. You have to be signed in as a Marion Tech student to use these. Okay. So make sure you're signed in, and then you're clicking on them. And then you're utilizing, you have to like log into where you are. So Marion, remembering my alphabet. Okay. You click on what you're wanting to use. So I would go to Marion Technical College. Ohio Link works as well. All Ohio Link is that like if there's a book at Bowling Green State University that you really needed to use for your research, you could come on here and find it. But the databases are here for you to use through. So these are all the different databases. Think of a database like a really specific Google. Okay. So this is a Google just for America, history, and life. This is a Google just for Atla religion database, whatever it's saying. So they're very specific Googles. So you, instead of searching the entire web for what you want, you've chosen your research paper topic, and then you also choose a database that's specific to what you're researching. They're in alphabetical order, or you can look at them by subject, which I think is the easiest way to do it. So if you're doing a research paper on education and why state tests are terrible, something like that, then these are all the education databases. Then you can read through and see which ones work for you. The locked means that you just have to, so unlocked means that you can access it off campus. Locked means you have to log in. Okay. So you just have to use your username, password that you're going to use, that you did use for your Canvas and your email, everything like that. Another one that you as high school students have as well that you might not know about. So you have the databases through Marion Technical College, which are amazing. What's extra nice about these databases is you know they're credible resources because they've been put through sort of like a trial by the databases to make sure they're credible. They've done the research. A lot of them also cite it for you. So your works cited or your bibliography, it will cite it for you once you're on that database, which is very nice. And InfoOhio, which I'm also going to show you, is also very similar. InfoOhio is a resource for high school students. So you have this as high school students. I'm logged into the high school that I teach at right now, but you can log in through your school as well. Usually most schools, their username is your school name, and then your password is your mascot, I think normally. If you're unsure of how to log into it, let me know. I work with InfoOhio, so I could always figure out what your school's InfoOhio login is if you're not sure. But it should be one of those things, if you're logged into your school's Wi-Fi, it should click and log you in pretty fine. But once you're here, you're clicking your grade band within there. And then all of these are also databases. They just, instead of being listed like this, they're listed with a picture. Okay. They're just very specific Googles. So this one is all for STEM and career. kind of sort of textbooks. If you're researching about a hobby, these are all just going to be resources about hobbies. These are all ebooks. This is all automotive. So you're choosing the database where you're going to find the information you need. On InfoHio, I think sort of your best bet for a database is going to be Points of View Reference Center. These are, they're going to give you topics where they have both sides. So in an argument paper, you have to have your side of the argument and the counter. They're going to give you counter sources while you're going through. You search in this database just like you would the Marion Tech databases, which they will go over in this video for this week. Okay. So you're searching. They also, what's nice about this one, it gives you the mini topics in here. So if you're still trying to decide what you even want to write your paper about, this is a great place to come to and brainstorm. So if I wanted to do, let's do a global issue. We will do Northern Ireland. It works. So when you click it, it's going to give you a summary of what even the argument is. What is this topic? Why would I want to write about it? This is a great place to brainstorm. Would you want to use it? And then over here, it gives you a point and a counterpoint. It says, hey, we've also got some magazines, some biographies to look into. So instead of you having to do all this typing and figuring out the keywords that you want to use to search, it does a lot of the searching for you. This is a really nice database, I think, to do your research. Most of the databases will look pretty similar to this, even the Marion Tech ones. Find it again. Even these, when you click on them, they'll look pretty similar. There might be some slight differences, but most everything should be the same in what you find. Over here, it gives you all these resources. The permalink is extra important. So if I were to highlight this right here and go, ooh, this is how I'm going to keep my website, it's not going to keep it. It's just going to send you to InfoHio. This permalink that I had to click on to get, that's what I need to copy, paste, and save to go back to my article. You can also email yourself the article. I always did this, or I still do always do this when I do research. If I don't want to lose it, I email it to myself and then have an email folder with all my research. It lets you listen to it while you're playing. And look at this beautiful citation button. I click it, and it has APA right there, and it has MLA right there. So now I don't have to worry about trying to do the works cited myself. It did it for me. Okay. So your databases for Marion Tech and InfoHio are pretty similar in how they're functioning. So this video is kind of going to go over what a library database is and how to use them. So once you're done with that video, kind of perusing, and I would take some time this week just to peruse the Marion Tech databases, look up some random topics, peruse InfoHio, just get familiar with how it works, how it functions, see what's there. So you don't have to do like a full research project yet, but get familiar with it. This video here is going to go over Google versus library databases. I'm not going to tell you to avoid Google, but it's going to talk about when you should use which when you're doing your research. Another thing to keep in mind that just popped in my head. Also, if you're on Google, Google Scholar is also an option that you can use to do your research, which is free. So I go to Google Scholar, and I can look up credible articles, so like college articles from newspapers and journals and magazines. So I could look up state testing articles here through my search terms, but I can also, if I wanted to have court cases as my evidence. So an example, in the past, I've had students turn in papers about the issue with trains and how trains are always stopped and they can't get anywhere on time. What if an ambulance is behind it? What's going to happen with that? So they try to make an argument paper out of the train issue in Marion and Hardin County within that. And there are actually a couple Ohio and federal court cases dealing with trains stopping for too long. And they were able to use those court cases as evidence in their papers. So you can look up both journal articles and court cases on Google Scholar if you wanted. So it's another one you can use. Once you're done with that video, okay, you're choosing between APA and MLA. Okay, so if you had me last semester, it's very similar. You are going to choose to either use APA or MLA citation and format. It is up to you, and you should base it around what program or major you want to go into when you officially start college. All of you are CCP students right now, so you might change your mind, and that's fine. But if you know that you might be interested in the sciences, or you might be interested in theater or the humanities, go in that direction. Or if you're like, I have no idea. Okay, if you did APA last semester, do MLA this semester, or vice versa. Be familiar with either of them. When you get into more content level courses, so my psychology courses I took in college always made me use APA. My education courses in college always made me use APA. But when I took English classes or theater classes or film classes, I had to use MLA. So I had to be familiar with both. So you decide which one you want. In this, it just kind of gives you a reminder here which ones you use for which within there. Once you've decided which one you're going to use for the semester, then you will choose which one of these tabs to click on. This tab is going to give you a whole big list of resources for APA. This one's going to give you a whole big list of resources for MLA. So you're choosing which one. Um, a lot of them are websites, a couple of them are videos. So this one's going to take you to Excelsior. These take you to Purdue OWL, which is probably my preferred place to go to when I have citation questions. And this is an APA lecture video I made a year ago, I think, a year or two ago. So these are just all the resources on APA. Same thing for MLA, and I think it's the same exact amount of sources as well. You have the Excelsior one. These are all Purdue OWL, an example essay, and a lecture video that I made about a year or two ago. I can't remember when. For all of these sources, as you're going through them, whether it's APA or MLA, I highly suggest you make a cheat sheet. So even I forget how to do some certain things when I'm citing something in MLA or APA. So I have a cheat sheet of things that I forget all the time or things I don't use frequently. So like I always know my in-text citation with MLA is parentheses, author last name, page number, parentheses, period. I'm not going to forget that. But if I'm trying to cite a YouTube video, I don't always remember exactly what I have to do for that. Or in APA, I kind of forget how to use section headers sometimes, and I have to have my cheat sheet in front of me when I'm typing my paper. So as you're going through these resources, create a cheat sheet. So whenever you're writing a paper, whether it's for me or another class in the future, you can have that cheat sheet pulled up that you can reference back to all the time. I always printed mine off and laminated them so I could use them and have it in front of me. It could just be a Google Doc, whatever your preference is, but I highly suggest you make a cheat sheet while you are going through these notes after you've chosen your citation format. So you've gone over all the resources, you've made your cheat sheets. The bottom two are your assignments for this week. So the first one is a research discussion where you're just talking through what you learned for the week. So what is your previous experience with research? What are you more familiar with? What have you used the most to do your research in the past? And what are things that you've learned this week that you're going to apply to our papers for this semester? Okay, so it's sort of just like a reflection over what you're taking away from this week's resources and learning. It's 150 words minimum, okay, and then you're just posting your response to the discussion. After you finish the research discussion, then I would do the citation practice. This is the one that's going to take you a little bit longer, and it's actually asking you to go and do the APA or MLA citations, okay? So what you're doing is you're choosing, are you doing APA or MLA? And you're creating a document. At the top of the document or somewhere on the document, if you could tell me if you're doing APA or MLA, that would be fantastic. And you're doing these 5 prompts. Okay, each prompt is a different resource, and you are going to show me how an in-text citation and a works cited or bibliography reference would look like with that particular prompt. So the first one you're going to do, you want to search online and find any article from any news website. I don't care. Be about whatever you want. Okay, and you're going to quote the very first sentence of that article you find. So I could go to the New York Times, pull it up, and I might click on the very first article. Although that doesn't look super interesting, I'm going to go to arts. That's always the section I read. Go away. I don't know. I'm going to read the zombie one. I think that looks fun. So I'm going to go and just copy paste. That first sentence is what I would copy paste into my document. Okay. And then at the end of that quotation, I'm going to put the in-text citation for it. So what would an in-text citation look for that very first quote from the article I chose? It doesn't, whatever article you want. Okay. Underneath the quote and the in-text citation, you're then going to show me what the works cited entry or the bibliography entry would look like. So what would you put on that works cited page? So quote with in-text citation, works cited entry, all for that one source. So that's what you do for number 1. Number 2, you're doing the same thing, but you're doing it with a novel or a book. Okay. On InfoHio, I showed you how you can find ebooks, or you could, I've got a massive library in my classroom. Maybe go into one of your teacher's classrooms and borrow a book for a day. and cite it. Or go to your library. So find a novel or a book, whatever graphic novel if you want. This is a graphic novel I'm reading right now. Whatever you want. Cite the first cite the first line from a quote from page 5. So go to page 5 of your book, cite a quote from it, give me the in-text citation, and then the works cited entry. So quote from page 5, in-text citation, works cited entry. Number 3, same thing, but you're doing it with a movie. Okay, choose your favorite film, whatever you want. I was watching Haunting of Hill House last night, so that's part of what I would choose. It's not a film, but it's a series, close enough. Um, choose your favorite line from that movie. Give me the in-text citation for it. I'm including a movie because you can use documentaries and movies as support for a lot of your research that you're doing. It's still a good resource that you can use. So you're giving me the quote, the in-text citation, and the works cited entry, keeping in mind that films are cited a little bit different than books or print pieces. So as you're going through your notes, your cheat sheets are going to want to include films. Is like, okay, so how do I do the in-text citation for that as you go through your notes? For number 4, I want you to go to a database. So you could either go to the Marion Tech databases or you can go to InfoHio. It's up to you. From whatever database you choose, I want you to research the Flint water crisis. Okay? Find an article on the Flint water crisis and quote the first sentence from that article, in-text citation, and then the works cited entry for that article. Okay? Last one you're doing is going to YouTube, because YouTube also has some amazing sources. The thing with YouTube is you have to make sure it's a credible source. Anybody can have a YouTube account. I have a YouTube account. So you have to make sure whatever video you're getting from YouTube, if you're actually using it for a paper, is a credible one. For this one, it's not a big deal. We're just practicing citing. But in the future, if you were to use a video from YouTube, make sure it's credible and actually fits with your topic well. So for this one, I want you to find a video about your favorite conspiracy theory or myth. Okay, whatever video you want. Find a quote from that video. Okay, whatever you want to give me as a quote. Give the quote, the in-text citation, and then the works cited entry for that quote. Okay, so you're doing the same thing 5 times with different types of resources. These are the 5 most common types of resources you're going to use in any essay in any class. So that's why we're practicing them. And you're doing an APA or MLA, whatever you're choosing. Okay. And once you've chosen your format for the semester, this is your format for the semester. And that's how I will grade your essays from here on out. Okay. So that is your focus for this week, is going through all the resources. And there's quite a few resources, especially because when you get to these, there's multiple within them. You're doing the discussion where you reflect on your learning and then a citation practice. Okay. If you have any questions, make sure you let me know. Email me. You can also Canvas message me. So if you're like, ooh, I forgot how to get into my Marion Tech email, Canvas messaging works too. I do suggest you get into your Marion Tech email, though. You're going to get a lot of information, not just from me, but from maybe your counselors, academic advisors. They're going to send your information there. So I would make sure you get into your Marion Tech email at some point. But send me any questions you might have, any struggle buses. I'm here to help. But have a wonderful week.